we keep expanding our line. I have 3 or 4 sheets this long of the things that we do purchase in Ohio or grown in Ohio. Chef Jay's going to be here to talk a little bit about the food, but just to give you a quick explanation, all of our produce in the summer is all bought from the Mount Hope auction. We go to the Mount Hope auction every day. We buy as much of the Amish that we can, and as much in the local areas that we can. I deal with a few local farmers, for pumpkins and so on and so forth. We try to keep it as much in our communities as we can. Buehler's is a very much family-based organization since 1929. I started out in New Philly, Ohio, and we've been around for over 80 years, and we continue to be intending to be here for another 80. But we're a very sustainable company, very headed towards everything that's green. Chef Jay, his company vehicle, it runs on vegetable oil. It's a diesel Jetta, and we call it the Greasel. Smells like French fries too. So, but Buehler's is very, like I said, very much into the Ohio proud, Ohio grown products, and we just want to let everybody know that we are 110% behind anything that has to deal with Ohio products.
I didn't know that.
Yes, very much, and very much into sustainability, and we need to try to get together with one of the local organics down at Price's to try to see if we can work something out with some composting from this store in general. Jay?
I said you took everything.
Well, you told me,
Thanks, George.
Thanks, everybody, and enjoy.
Where'd you come from?
Where did I come from? Are you gonna?
No.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to give some
I'm originally from a little town east of Pittsburgh called Irwin, Pennsylvania. But I do come from Pittsburgh. I am a Steelers fan, and I am a very avid Penn State fan. And I know that upsets a lot of you Ohio State fans, but we have a good time with it. We really do.
Not at all. We beat Penn State last night.
I saw it. And I was at the shot when they beat them here too. So
She took my thunder too.
I know.
That's all right. We give George a hard time. George has been with us a little bit longer than I have. I've been with Buehler's for about 3 years. Before that, I worked in Cleveland for about 5 years. Came from a hotel restaurant background. I actually spent 2 5-year stints in Columbus. The first time around, I worked at Hankey's in the Brewery District. I spent about a year there. I worked for the New Albany Country Club. I worked at Rigsby's. I did some stuff with Cheryl's Cookies. So I sort of went around, and then spent 5 years in Florida at a private resort. Then met my wife, who came to Ohio State to do a PhD in epidemiology. So I was at the Radisson by the airport, which is now Marriott. Went through that whole transition. So Columbus is sort of my home. Ohio is definitely my home. I was born and raised in East Lake, Ohio, which is up in Lake County. And I've been with Buehler's it'll be 4 years this summer. And when I came to work for Buehler's, one thing that we still struggle with today, George is on a goal that is to promote Buehler's and get the word out and trying to what's the actual name of the goal? That's probably the best way to start.
Really, the goal that we are trying to do is create business from outside sources, other than just doing the basic grocery business. And we're trying to increase business not only for the Delaware store, but for all of our 13 stores by looking at outside sources and trying to get into something a little bit different.
Outside revenue sources. And when I first came to work at Buehler's, I had sort of seen a little bit about them. I'd gone through a couple stores, and it was sort of a new thing to me. I live in Chagrin Falls, so the closest store is about 45 minutes from my house. This store is 2 hours from my house. And as George said, I do drive a vehicle that runs on used fryer oil, and I'll get to that in a little bit here. But when I first started working at Buehler's, we had a woman named Mary McMillan who was in charge of guest relations or community relations, and so we started talking about, well, what can we do as far as sustainability goes? And I said, well, there's a lot of things that you already do. And so, as George sort of alluded to, we sort of do things by team. So we put together a team that looked at sustainability. So they got a group of people together. It goes from one of the Buehler sons all the way down to one of our guys that does our printing and the advertising department. There's a couple people that work in the stores. So we all get in this room, and we're sitting there, and they're all looking around going, okay, what do we do? I said, well, here's what you do. I said, you make a list of everything that you do in your department that you consider sustainable. Well, 15 pages later, they said, hey, okay, we're doing pretty good here. So, but what George's group struggles with, and what I always struggle with, is that unless you shop at Buehler's and you've been at Buehler's for a really long time, nobody knows that we do that, because it's a family-owned company. They're very conservative. They don't sort of talk about what they do. And so trying to get the word out there is the challenge that we have as sort of outsiders, I guess. So once we established the sustainability committee, that next year at the retreat, they actually established a goal. There's 6 strategic goals that Buehler's has. There was 5 originally, and the 6th one that they added is sustainability. So it's an actual focus of the brothers, the family. So once we identified all the different things that we did, they looked at ways that we could sort of reach out and do more stuff. One of the things that George talked about was the list of local producers that or manufacturers that we buy from. I believe the list originally was about 100, and I think it's well beyond that now. Because as people sort of look in their departments and think about, okay, well, where is this made and where is that made and where does it come from, it grows pretty quick. And it's always been a focus of the family. Ed Buehler and his wife Helen started the company in New Philadelphia, and right away they realized that buying local is the best way to do business because A, it puts money back into that local economy, but it also provides a better product. Because if you're buying, say, tomatoes in July from California or Florida, and you look at the tomatoes here that are in your neighborhood, they're way better. The ones locally are much better. So that's how it sort of started. And now it's just evolved into something. I always tease the Buehler sons that they're back to being trendy again. That they've been so trendy all along. Now they're back to being trendy again. So it's sort of an inside joke. So when we started the sustainability thing, there were 3 things that I looked at. One is reducing waste. So the focus of that George sort of alluded to was composting. We throw out quite a bit of stuff. And as we did audits, we realized that the majority of what gets thrown in the trash is compostable material. It's trimmings from the produce department. It's produce that's sort of gone beyond its life. But also, we prepare food in our store. So we bring in raw ingredients, and we cut them up, and we make things up. No other grocery store out there has a restaurant in their store like we do. They have some derivation of it, but not a full-service sit-down restaurant. So we produce a lot of waste. And so we identified this as an opportunity for us to sort of pull some things out of the waste stream. So we started a test at our Middletown store, which is right by the office, and last year we pulled out 249 tons from the waste stream. So that's one store. So what we did was we have this compostable compactor. We found a local guy who does composting, Paradise Composting. He's also Paradise Lawn Care. And he said, hey, I want to do this. So he had done all the legwork, and we just partnered with him. And we bought a compostable compactor. So all that goes in there is compostable material. And then it gets hauled out to his site. The good thing about it is that not only are we pulling actual solid mass out of the waste stream, but all that moisture, because if you think about it, things like cantaloupes and all that stuff produce, how much percentage of that's water? It's a good bit. So with the compostable compactor, there's a drain, and the water gets drained out. So a lot of that stuff gets pushed out into the waste stream, which can be reutilized as drinking water, basically. So the benefits of all that is that we're pulling stuff out of the landfills. We're also doing, we've almost come full circle where we can now sell the compost in the stores. We just signed off on a bag design for our compost, and we'll be selling it this spring for people to use in their gardens. And when we did our retreat this year, the sustainability team put together a little presentation, and we also gave away gifts. And one of the things we gave away was a Dawn Redwood. And I'm not sure the whole story behind it, but somebody at OARDC, it's basically his tree, he came up with it. So he took our compost and planted these Dawn Redwoods in that compost. But right before he gave it to us, he sort of pulled them out to look and see how they were growing and stuff, and he was totally amazed at how the root stock had just sort of gone into this composted material and just sort of thrived really well. So we're hoping that it'll get some attention and get the word out there. Another thing that we looked at is packaging. If you look around the store, especially like in deli, in the bakery department, the produce department, all the packaging that's there's a lot of packaging. So the first thing we looked at was, okay, let's look for stuff that can be recycled, because that's the easiest sort of lowest hanging fruit. Everyone talks about, oh, there's this compostable packaging and all that stuff, which is great. Well, there's 2 problems to it. One is that this company comes along with this great container, and they put it on the market, and then somebody like McDonald's comes in, they buy everything. So there's nothing left for us because we're a small company. The other thing is that you have products that have a shelf life. Say it's 7 days, 5 days, whatever it is. You take something that's wet like a salad and you put it in a compostable container and you put it under UV light, guess what happens? The package doesn't last as long as the food can be served for. So it's sort of a big dilemma for us. It's something that we really struggle with. So we sort of took a step back and said, okay, well, here's stuff that we can certainly look at. We can look at reducing the amount of packaging that we use, and we can also find packaging that's recyclable. So we've done a huge, we've taken on a huge endeavor in all the departments to sort of reduce that. One thing that we sort of tried to eliminate, which has been really difficult, is styrofoam. Because styrofoam is one of the worst things that you can have. It doesn't break down in landfills, all that stuff. Back on compost real quick too. Sometimes people, you can buy compostable trash bags and they say it breaks down in the landfill, but let me tell you, once there's no light and no oxygen, it's just going to sit in the landfill anyway. So our composting facility that we work with, it's Winrose, and he turns it daily, and it's pretty cool stuff. He takes our products, and within a month, it's ready to be composted. It cooks real hot. And we throw everything away. So there's meat product in there, there's bones, there's, I mean, just about anything you can imagine that was ever once living gets composted. Paper towels, packaging, wax cardboard, all that stuff gets composted from that store. And that composting test has been expanded to include our central facility, which is our central kitchen and our warehouse, and then one additional store is composting as well. So I'm looking forward to see, this month will be our first month that we have all three on board, so when we get numbers, it'll be interesting to see how it is. We're also looking at hopefully finding somebody here. I think Price Organics has sort of come to George and try to talk about it. And everybody likes to compost, they love to compost, but the reality of it and actually getting the compost to a composter, jumping through all the hoops with the groundwater people, transportation, all that stuff, that's our biggest dilemma. Transportation was our hugest dilemma because the guys that haul trash, that's what they do. They haul trash. They know how efficient it is, they know the economies of scale, they know how much it costs, and all that stuff. They know the wear and tear on their vehicles. So if you imagine that you have a composting facility, maybe it's not paved, so that's a dilemma. And when it's raining outside, they don't want their trucks getting stuck. So it's really tough to get them to sort of go and sort of buy into the whole process. So that's our biggest dilemma as far as pulling compost out, is trying to find somebody to haul. Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. At here we haven't looked into it yet, but the store that's in Worcester in Wayne County, we pull out of there. There's no problems. And then just last November, the Medina County Solid Waste Management District came to us. And it's sort of a funny situation. There's the Medina County Solid Waste Management District, and then there's the actual people that run the facility. And I don't know if you know anything about Medina County, but they don't separate anything. You just put your trash in a bag and you send it, and they send it through a whole system of processes that pick out each individual part that can be recycled or whatever it is. So through that process, they recycle, basically. So the gentleman that runs that facility, not the county, but the gentleman that runs the facility, came to us and said, I want to start composting, because his goal is to reduce how much he's putting in the landfill by 15%. So he knows that if he can pull out compostable material, it's a no-brainer. 50% is no problem. So we did a test. We had him, he gave us a heads up. We had our dumpster pulled and taken to the facility, dumped on a cement slab, sorted through, put through the system, and they pulled out about 16% on one shot. And what it is, it's about an inch-and-a-half grid that it goes through that lets things fall out. Now this compost is not usable for growing things. What it's used for is for landfill cover. So it's not the best. For us, it's not the best thing to do. So we went back to him and said, okay, that's great, but we think we can pull out more. So he's in the process of convincing the county that we should compost. So that's where the dilemma is. He did all the work, all the legwork. He wrote the grants. He has the application to change his classification for his facility and all that stuff. So that's where it's at. We're hopefully, if that happens, that's 4 more stores that we'll knock off with no problem. So we could be at, our goal this year is to have 5 stores composting by the end of the year. So right now we have 2 stores in our central facility, and we could add 4 more stores pretty quick, and hopefully George will add his store.